Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman, and thanks for sharing part of your weekend with us. On the show tonight, what is in the sweeping criminal justice bill that was signed earlier this week, and what's concerning its opponents? Sammy Davis Jr. on how media representation affects popular perception in a throwback clip from WTTW's Our People. Next up in our Black Voices book club series, jazz historian Mark Ruffin riffs on history.
Unfortunately, history is always written by the power.
Editing history to include Ada McKinley, a black woman whose legacy of service endures. First off tonight, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a criminal justice bill that is massive in both its actual size at 764 pages and its impact on how Illinois approaches criminal justice and policing. Here's Governor Pritzker at Monday's bill signing.
All Illinoisans will live in a safer and more just state with this law on the books. In short, this legislation marks a substantial step toward dismantling the systemic racism that plagues our communities, our state, and our nation, and brings us closer to true safety, true fairness, and true justice.
Joining us now are Republican State Senator John Curran, as well as two of the bill's sponsors and Democrats from Chicago, State Representative Justin Slaughter and State Senator L.G. Sims. Gentlemen, thanks to all of you for joining us on Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. Representative Slaughter, let's start with you, please. Why were the changes in this bill necessary?
Well, it was necessary to address and bring more equity, more fairness to what we believe is a criminal justice system that was rooted in racism. We wanted to bring forth a comprehensive, holistic approach to criminal justice reform. So as you see, is us addressing police policies, whether it's use of force, crisis intervention training, and more enhanced certification process, and also a statewide body cam program, but also looking at sentencing reform and addressing our mass incarceration crisis, more judicial discretion for lower level mandatory minimums, alternatives to custody, and of course, being the first state to legislate in ending cash bail. We feel that that's a more fair system. And so this was all necessary. And also a third prong to the bill is planting a strong seed for crime and violence prevention. And we thought it was necessary to also remind the people of Illinois that this is their government. We can march together, we can protest together, but we also can impact policy together. And HB 3653 reflects that we are going from protest to progress.
And you mentioned cash bail, which is obviously a major component of this bill. It's been considered a potential model for other states considering eliminating cash bail. Senator Sims, what is the impact of someone who's being held in jail while awaiting their cases to be adjudicated?
Well, Brandis, you find that studies show that after 3 days, a person's life starts to unravel. They lose their job, they lose their home, their children can, if they don't have adequate health care or child care for their children can go into the child custody system. So a person's life starts to unravel really after 3 days. And I remind you that the pretrial process it takes place before a person has ever before a person is even convicted of a crime. So we're instituting these policies on the backs of individuals who've not been convicted of a crime yet.
Okay, and we're going to come back to you, of course, Senator Sims. But Senator Curran, we know that you agree with some parts of this bill, but you do have some concerns. What are your concerns with cash bail in particular?
Thank you, Brandis. you know, certainly doing away with cash bail is a more equitable system. The ability to pay should not be the determinative factor on who is detained pre-trial. It should be based upon risk and risk to safety and public safety. The objections we have here are the limitations on what forcible felonies are actually eligible for that risk assessment here. You know, we were looking more for a model like New Jersey where all crimes were eligible for that hearing if there was a basis to bring, for the prosecutor to bear that burden and bring that motion to detain. Here, there's more limitations on it. We certainly want to see more discretion given to judges. You know, this has a very strong presumption in the bill for pretrial release, and that's a good thing. Prosecutors should bear that burden, but we certainly want to open that up to you know, all forcible felonies.
And Representative Slaughter, how do you respond to his concerns regarding bail?
Well, first of all, I do believe the state is better off, you know, having statesmen like Senator Curran, looking forward to continue to work with Leader Curran on this. There is an extensive list of forcible felonies that the senator is mentioning, and we do need to continue to take a look at it. One thing that I want to shed light on, Senator Sims has been doing a great job of this. The go live date on ending cash bail is January 1st of 2023. We really want to use our time, energy, and efforts from now until then to make sure that we have the most impactful, effective system. And so we are here today with an open door policy, ready to continue to collaborate across the aisle and with law enforcement and with the state's attorneys to ensure that we look at the concern that Senator Curran brought up with forcible felonies. But we must move away from our system. Again, we don't want to criminalize poor. We don't want to criminalize poverty. And then on the other side, in regards to a more conservative approach, making sure that we do enhance public safety right now, violent, dangerous individuals able to be released back out into the community if they do have the financial means. And so there is still more work to do, and looking forward to working and collaborating to address the issues that are still outstanding.
And some of those issues that are still out there, Representative Curran, you know, we've heard from leaders of law enforcement unions and associations concerned that the legislation would impede police officers who are obviously just trying to do their jobs. How so?
Well, law enforcement has concern on the specific language and how to implement the language centered around use of force. I will tell you that Senator Sims and Representative Slaughter have engaged a process to engage law enforcement officials on that exact subject. We're in that process here, and hopefully we can find some common ground that the policy objectives in the bill are accomplished, but at the same time, we just want to make sure the implementation is specific and clear to the professionals day in and day out. And so I think that's where maybe we're still a little work in progress. We are working on it.
Another concern, Senator Sims, that we've heard from Republicans was that the bill was rushed through the General Assembly. The Black Caucus has said that you all had multiple hearings about this back in the fall. But when it came time to vote, should there have been more discussion and debate and amending on the floor?
Well, I would remind, and you referenced the public hearings that we had, Brandis. You know, 9 public hearings, over 30 hours of testimony. And the way that the bill got passed and the hour that the bill passed was because we continued to engage in those discussions that Senator Curran mentioned. We were negotiating until the very last moment, trying to address the concerns and address the issues that we are still talking about now. So that's how the bill passed at the hour it passed. But I would also, again, remind that we were originally going to take this bill up during the fall veto session. So we had additional time from November through January 5th when the bill was introduced to have these discussions. And we wanted to have open, honest dialogue. We did that. We brought law enforcement to the table. We asked for their input. And there was also a 15-point plan that law enforcement outlined for reform in the criminal justice system. And many of those items are included in the House Bill 3653. because we acknowledge that we want law enforcement's input, because the only way reform works is if everyone is moving in the same direction. So
and we're
moving towards reform.
And we know that the Black Caucus, you all are also working on hoping that the governor will also sign more legislation later on with regard to education and economic policy. But that's where we'll have to leave it for now on criminal justice. My thanks to State Representative Justin Slaughter, State Senator L.G. Sims, and State Senator John Curran for joining us.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks for having us.
Back when Jim Tillman interviewed entertainer Sammy Davis Jr. for WTTW's Our People in 1968, black actors and entertainers were just beginning to break into high-profile movies and shows. In tonight's Throwback, Davis questions how that lack of representation affected the perceptions of black children about American history and of themselves.
Television, however, has made larger strides in terms of trying to discover new talent and putting new talent into leading parts much better than motion pictures has. You know, it took R.C. Davis 30 years to get a lead opposite, you know, Burt Lancaster in The Scalp Hunters. And the man's been a qualified black star for the last 15 years, a great writer, but they didn't give him the parts.
Are you at all satisfied with the way the trend's going now with Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and some of the other movies that have come across, and like The Scalp Hunters, as you mentioned?
Well, I think The Scalp Hunters was marvelous, you know, because I think it's marvelous based upon one thing, that we talk about black awareness, we talk about black culture, then the best way the motion picture industry can serve the black community is letting black children know that they were black pirates, and there were black Indian fighters, and there were black cowboys. I made a joke about it in the early days when I first was a cowboy, you know.
Yeah.
But it's true. And today, it happened no sooner than today, sitting outside with a bunch of kids after the show. And we've made it a point to invite kids down on matinee days, every show, from underprivileged areas. And to talk, when I say kids, I don't mean kids in the sense of that, I mean young people. And the guy, and every day when I go out to talk to them afterwards, to relate in some way, someone invariably says, "Did you like playing with the gun in the Westerns?" Because it was the first black man they had ever seen on a horse, on television in their homes. In those areas, in terms of our history, you know, I'd like to see one Cecil B. DeMille type film that shows a black man's contribution to our culture, so that a black child can go in and see. You know, it's about time that white people knew as well as black people that the first man that died in the American Revolution was a black man, not a white man. The first man who shed his blood for America, in terms of the revolution, was a black man.
And you can watch the entirety of Jim Tillman's conversation with Sammy Davis Jr. on our website. Up next, the untold story of a driving force behind a legendary organization. A Chicago-based community service organization serves more than 7,000 people a year and has been doing this sort of work for more than 100 years. But the story of its founder has largely been erased. Amanda Venicky joins us now with the story of an effort to rewrite and strengthen that history. Amanda.
Brandis, in just a moment, I'm going to show you a video clip, and I want to see whether you and our viewers can pretty quickly identify what it is of. Ready?
Hit me.
Here it is. Okay, good. If those piles of snow don't make it obvious, this is in Chicago. It's on the west side, another hint. And if those plaques should make it obvious that this is a place of historical significance, are you ready to venture a guess?
Not really.
All right. Hull House.
Hull House.
Founded by Jane Addams, who is recognized globally, historically, as a pioneering social reformer, a developer of the recreation movement. All right, another one. How about this woman? Heard of Ada McKinley? It's likely that the answer is going to be no. After all, there are 2 parks in Chicago named after Adams, but there is no public monument or space that is dedicated to McKinley, even though both women did similar work in the same time span, just 4 miles apart from one another. McKinley had been little known even to professors who study the recreation movement. At least that was until a pair of researchers met at a conference in Canada a couple of years ago and decided to learn more about her.
It wasn't an easy process, but I didn't want to stop because I really wanted to give a voice to Ada S. McKinley, who has been historically neglected. And in my opinion, she deserves much more recognitions and I guess awareness from the American public.
According to their report, around the time of the Hull House, there were 400 other settlement homes doing similar work. In 1919, there were 35 of them in Chicago. What came to be the South Side Settlement House served the largest area and was fully staffed by African Americans. And it all grew out of a recreation program started by McKinley, designed to help returning World War I veterans, migrants moving to Chicago, and needy youth.
Such as providing nursery, infant warfare station, adult literacy programs, providing lodging, meals for kids.
Amanda, so why don't more people know about McKinley's work in that space?
That's part of what these researchers have studied. They say a lot of it has to do with a historical bias toward whiteness.
And it just sort of made intuitive sense to them to write about a white, wealthy woman and not even to be aware of a poor African-American woman who did some pretty amazing things.
Also, Adams Hull House was recognized as really the best of the best. And as a woman of wealth and of privilege, she had funding and connections to make it that way.
And that's what makes Ada McKinley's story so outstanding, is she didn't come from wealth. In fact, I think Jerry and I both agree that she probably, in one sense, did more because there were so little resources that she had.
But while the Hull House went bankrupt in 2012, the modern version of the South Side Settlement House, Ada S. McKinley Community Services, is still doing the work.
I think that when you look at the work that Ada did in starting our agency in 1919, has carried forward, and because the need is still there and has even increased, we really want to highlight that we've continued her legacy, and we want public support to continue to help us to build upon that.
CEO Jamal Malone notes that in 1919, when the organization was founded, Chicagoans were fighting through the Spanish flu pandemic. Today, again, the organization's both providing services like childcare while also employing frontline workers, doing contact tracing or COVID hotspot cleaning. Certainly, therefore, McKinley's legacy lives on, but they say to achieve greater fairness and justice, McKinley and other forgotten pioneers of color must be brought into a sharper focus.
We're looking for history books and school books to really be rewritten and enhanced to include her equally as they do other important figures like Jane Addams that didn't look like her and weren't the same race as her, but did the exact same type of work. And her work has endured.
Ada S. McKinley Community Services also looking to get a Chicago street named after its founder and soliciting financial contributions to help support that mission that she began over a century ago. They're also asking for anyone to connect with them if perchance they were aided by or even met and knew Ada S. McKinley. You'll find a link to all of that on our website. And the researchers, by the way, say that they've really gotten to just the tip of the iceberg. They are looking to do more research into McKinley, and they want to look into other settlement homes. And their report explicitly cites the Frederick Douglass Center that was founded in 1904 with a mission to, quote, promote just and amicable relations between white and colored people, end quote.
Okay, wow, an impressive history lesson for us, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Brandis.
Jazz is the foundation of Mark Ruffin's entire career as a music historian, journalist, and broadcaster. In this week's Black Voices Book Club selection, the principles of jazz composition also inspired his fictional takes on topics of race and intolerance. In Bebop Fairy Tales, an historical fiction trilogy on jazz, intolerance, and baseball, Ruffin weaves jazz, baseball, and real people and real attitudes from the past into 3 fictional stories. And Mark Ruffin joins us now. Mark, welcome back to WTTW. The book is called Bebop Fairy Tales, but this is definitely not a book for kids. Why do you call them fairy tales?
Actually, Brandis, first, thanks for having me, and it's so good to be on screen in my home television station. It was actually, I thought it was a great idea. You know, when I was a kid, through the Great Books Foundation, I fell in love with Aesop's Fables, and I loved that Bebop Fables. Then I thought Bebop Fairy Tales. I never even thought about the kid connection until it was out. It was just clever to me.
So how did this book come about? Why did you want to write this?
This book actually is it took me 17 years to write this book, actually. It started a long time ago in the 90s when I fell in love with screenwriting. And I wrote a few screenplays, had some wonderful experiences writing screenplays. No success, but had a great team in Chicago. We wrote so many screenplays. And I eventually was nominated, I placed in the Sundance Screenwriting Competition in 2003. And I went to LA and was really disappointed, mostly because I write about history and they say history costs money. And I was at a party and a guy mentioned the hot movie at the time, Brokeback Mountain. And he said, you know, that came from a book of short stories. And that was The Lightning Bolt in 2003. I wrote 4 screenplays in like 7 years, but it took me 17 years to write this book.
A labor of love, it sounds like. So the first story is a kind of magical realism with main characters who are real historical figures, including Chicago-born choreographer Bob Fosse and jazz saxophonist Gene Ammons. Why did you choose to build a fictional story around real people?
You know, as I mentioned, when I had my career going for a while, and you know, radio and music came to me by osmosis. But when I had that desire to suddenly write screenplays, just historical stories from jazz just flooded my head. My first screenplay was about Fats Waller being kidnapped by Al Capone. And I just had all these stories in my head about jazz folks. I wanted to elevate jazz stories, kind of like what I did at WTTW. I just wanted to tell jazz stories. And I thought about the dichotomy of racism in my hometown, and what if Bob Fosse, who's from the north side of Chicago, and Gene Ammons from the south side of Chicago, met at a wild time in New Orleans, post-World War II New Orleans. And there's lots of great facts in the book, like Bob Fosse was a child star at WGN. Joe Papp, the very famous director, was his station chief when he was in the Navy. That's how they met. And in my book, I imagine him on leave in New Orleans, and Gene Ammons, who had a hard time with Billy Eckstine's band at the time, was stranded in New Orleans. And I just put it together, and my imagination kind of did the rest.
Fun fact, in that first chapter, I noticed you mentioned my hometown of Mississippi, Vicksburg, but that's a story for another time. Your second 2 stories, though, Round Midnight with the Ku Klux Klan and The Sidewinder, those both involve baseball. Give us quick sketches, if you would, about what those 2 stories are about.
The Round Midnight with the Ku Klux Klan is about a guy who, in his mid-40s, who had been bullied as a kid by his sadistic father, who made sure his effeminate kid could do one thing, hit a baseball. And he became a baseball hero at college, got a nice gig, and ended up in New York City at a conference for a weekend where he heard Thelonious Monk, and it changed his life. He got seduced not only by jazz, but he lost his virginity and went back home and got in trouble with the Klan, okay? And I think that doesn't give away too much.
And then we've got 30 seconds for The Sidewinder.
Oh, it's a love letter to Philadelphia Phillies. As a struggling Cub fan, I related to the 1964 Phillies, and I mix everything that happened in '64 with what happened to the Philadelphia Phillies, including that meeting on one night in Miami. I touch on that in that story, The Sidewinder.
Oh, wow. All right. We're not going to give it all away. They got to read the book if they want to know what happens.
That's right.
All right, thanks
Thank you, Brandis.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark Ruffin, for joining us. Again, the book is called Bebop Fairy Tales, an historical fiction trilogy on jazz, intolerance, and baseball. And that's our show for this Sunday night. And join Paris Schutz and me this week at 7 on Chicago Tonight. Several thousand CPS students step back into their classrooms for the first time in nearly a year. There's some students in the classrooms now, and the frigid waters become a daily swimming pool for one Chicagoan. And on a programming note, Chicago Tonight Black Voices is off for the next 2 weeks, but we hope to see you right back here on March 21st. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm, sponsoring a free continuing legal education program for over a decade for lawyers across the state.